Well, hello guys, this is Diamond from Diamond Shine Soap. I'm super excited to see you today. Today we are going to be making a full apothecary jar. Now guys, if you love my videos, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you do not miss the upcoming videos that will be featured on this channel. Guys, these jars are on sale this week, so I am going to be talking all about the apothecary jar, how popular they are, and how they definitely rise in sales towards the fall season. All right, so guys, if you want the entire recipe, always remember it's linked in the description box if you want to know how to make this candle perfectly and you actually want to know how to wick this candle and be making these candles in a week. Okay, listen, it's in the description box. You do not have to look any further. All right, so there are so many different designs when it comes down to the apothecary jar. You can do like a pie shell at the top. You can single wick it, you could double wick it. My experience with working with this jar, I have found it much better to double wick, especially if you're going to do like a dessert style candle, because it will burn evenly that way. You can definitely single wick it, but you are going to have a very high flame, which can actually be okay. It's okay as long as it's not like, high and shooting, okay? These jars are very popular in the fall. Yankee Candle sells this particular jar just slightly taller, just a little bit taller, and they normally sell those at Bath and Body Works. Also, you can find these jars at your local Dollar General, Walmart. So many different companies put their candles in this jar, and this jar sell really well, okay? But we're going to do ours different. We're going to double wick ours. I've been double wicking these for a very long time. They burn beautifully. It doesn't break the glass. You won't get a fire. You just have to use very small wicks to double wick, okay? Now, I'm going to use my cereal embeds in mine. Now, because of the market being so oversaturated with candles, I've instructed everybody in my Patreon to be different this year, okay? If you want to get into these markets, because of course, when you go to sign up, they got so many other candle makers already signed up, and that can sometimes be a hassle. So when it comes down to this jar, I do my pies in here: sweet potato pie, lemon pound cake, banana cream pie. You could just do so much in this jar. I got the jar and the top together for about $2 and maybe 40 cents. I might probably be at $2.69, but that's pretty good for the top and the actual jar because glass is very expensive. So I'm going to be using a Fruit Loops fragrance. Fruit Loops is usually very strong. That's a very strong fragrance. I've never made a Fruit Loops candle and not got a strong hot throw out of it. It's always strong. So we're going to be using that today. Now, when it came down to weighing out my wax, the only problem that I have with this particular candle, because listen, I have apothecary jars that are a little bit smaller. I have an 8-ounce apothecary jar. I actually tried the very, very small one in the beginning stages of my candle making journey, and I didn't keep it because it was just, honestly, it was like a waste. But I like the 8-ounce because this one is actually 17 ounces, and 17 ounces of wax is a whole lot for a candle. Now, if you make a candle that's 17 ounces of wax, like this candle in particular, I'm going to have to charge at least, at the bare minimum, $20 in order to make a profit, because 17 ounces of wax, that's a lot of fragrance going into one candle. Also, you have to count for your embeds, your time that you put in with your embeds. I'm going to be using a spoon as well. So all of that put together, y'all, that's a lot. So we're going to make sure that we get our money's worth. So $20 is what I'm going to sell this candle for. Now, if you're in different places like California, of course, it's going to cost a little bit more. So you'll sell for more. Now, once I put my fragrance into my candle, I am going to stir for 2 minutes, okay? Now, when it comes down to my wax, guys, I always use the same wax. Now, Bath and Body Works is a paraffin company, and you guys know that this is a billion-dollar industry. They sell. People go into Bath and Body Works every day. We never heard about them going into foreclosure because they are always selling. So people don't have a problem with paraffin wax. Now, I don't use paraffin wax because of the molten, but, I'm just telling you guys that people don't have a problem with Parasoy because I use the Parasoy wax, okay? All right. Now, if you use soy wax and you make a Fruit Loop candle, unfortunately, your colors will not come out as beautiful and vibrant as my cereal embeds came out, okay? You won't get that. So you're going to have to use a paraffin or a parasoy in order to get good colors. I'm filling up my jar with my wax, guys. I think I did about 13 ounces of wax in that 17 ounce because I didn't want to make it too tall because I have to add things on the inside. So when it came down to using the full 17 ounces, I did not have to use it. I might have used about 14, just being honest, about 14 ounces of wax. Now, guys, I want to be very honest with you about the candle making industry, because I know that a lot of people have been having some issues right now with selling their candles. Now, candles would never go out of style. Candles would never stop being sold. But there is a such thing as a recession. All right. When people get into a recession, they start thinking about things that they actually need versus things that they don't need. Now, when it comes down to people thinking about things that they don't need, sometimes people they treat themselves and get things that they don't need, but they don't want to spend a whole lot of money. It is best that you try your best to keep your candles under a certain amount when it comes down to the production cost. Like when you're producing that candle, it should not cost you no more than $5 to make the candle. Okay. I'm using my heat gun, guys, because I already let this candle solidify, and I am basically giving myself like a 1/2 inch deep of a melt pool. Not really a 1/2 inch deep, but pretty close to it, so that I can add my embeds to it. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my embeds. Okay. So let me finish talking to y'all. So you want to keep it down. It only usually take me about maybe $4 to make a candle, but that's why I love tins, because tins only usually cost about, it used to be like $2 to make it, but since everything went up, it probably would cost me about $4 to make one tin, and that's not bad. But here's the thing, you have to be creative. I know that sometimes it may feel like, oh my God, that's doing too much, but putting an embed at the top of your tin, using a little bit of whipped wax, like if I'm making my lemon, I do like lemon cream, so I stick a embed that look just like a lemon into some whipped cream. Or if I'm doing pumpkin pecan waffles, I do like a little bit of a swirl with my whipped wax, and I add a little waffle to it. If you're doing chicken and waffles, like a little tiny waffle and a piece of chicken at the top. You have to be creative in this season, because the creativity is what is going to sell your candles. I'm getting tongue twisted here, y'all. But yes, the creativity sells. So you have to step outside of the box. And I just met a lot of people, because I've been going to markets, and I talk to people and I tell them hey, you got to do something a little bit different. I had one lady who was selling candles, and she was next to me, and she was, putting all her stuff in her box. And I said, well, how did you do? And she said, I only sold 2 candles. She had just a regular smegular hectagon jar. And I was like, I just looked, and I couldn't really tell her how I felt, because, not everybody is receiving it right now. Some people still going to be stuck in their ways because they believe that what they have, is going to work. No, you have to step outside of the box, and you can't be afraid to do so. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys that, because I've been going to markets and I've been seeing people struggling. But guess what? When I go to the market, I normally come back, if I take a whole big giant box, I'm going to come back with a little bit left in that box, but that's it. So my things are selling. I'm not having an issue with sales. I realized that I had to do something different. You just got to pivot. Whenever you see people going through a great struggle, you got to think, okay, I still want to make great products, but how can I stand out above the crowd? All right. Well, guys, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I will see you guys again. Join the Patreons. All of that is linked in the description box. And also, guys, if you want a coaching session, that is linked in there as well. I will see you again for the next video.